Ah, good evening, class, and welcome back. Tonight we'll be once again playing Oblivion. I think we'll take a much more relaxed Thursday night. I'm still getting accustomed to my usual streaming devices and making sure to have them always at the ready, so that may be a bit slower on our intros lately. Also trying to work on getting a proper routine and set of intros and outros so that I can have a bit more of a consistent schedule. My controller is still plugged in, so it seems that was giving some inputs. There we go. This should be much more functional for us now. Alright, where we left off, we were last in Hall. It still appears to be giving me some issues. Give me a second. I may have to restart the program. Let's just go ahead with the usual first step towards fixing any program. So, where we last left off, we were in the town of Hall and just completed the Mages Guild quest there. That would have been retrieving the ring from inside of the well. Now, we have to figure out what would be next on our itinerary, which, since we are in Hall, this might actually be a good opportunity. Much more functional. This might be a good opportunity for us to begin the Fighters Guild questline, which will not have nearly as interesting of a story as many of the other questlines in this game, but it is something else for us to do. Since this is Oblivion, I do plan on playing as much of it as I can, being one of my historically favorite games. Fighters Guild should be right here next to the Mages Guild. There we go. I do believe it was here or in Anvil that your first Fighters Guild quest is assigned. You unfortunately do not get a quest in every single city. You instead get multiples in only 2 or 3 of them. Good evening and welcome to the stream. So, we should be able to just walk right up and talk to the most important person here, who I believe was the orc.
Job? If you want it from me, you'll have to join the Fighters Guild. Not that I'm sure you can cut it.
Well, I have plenty of swords for cutting.
The Fighters Guild is always looking for new members. If you've got a clean record and don't have a bounty on your head, we may be able to use you. Are you interested in joining?
Certainly, unless a guard stops me for no reason again.
Good, I guess. You're now an associate in the Fighters Guild. Report to me or Azan in Anvil for contracts. And don't screw up.
If only finding a job was normally this easy.
I suppose I've got something for you. We need a weapons shipment delivered to Desolate Mine. That's your job. Move your ass, boot.
Typical Fighters Guild talk. The mages, while pretentious, will not at least directly consult you when you walk in. Let's make our way there. How full is our inventory? You know, one of the curiosities of this game is that you can just use these quest items forever. Since they are counting as quest items, this is essentially a regular steel longsword, but quest items do not have a weight in this game. So you can carry around a 0-weight sword and hammer for the rest of the game if you would like. You would just never be able to advance throughout the Fighters Guild quests. There's a very particularly important weapon we will be finding later, and that... this isn't a blacksmith. I'm looking for a blacksmith. That weapon we will find later, I don't know. We might plan to keep it for a while and never complete the necessary quest that goes along with it. Here we go. We'll need repairs for our sword. I will hold off a little longer on the level up so that I can make sure we get a good set of stat boosts.
And armor. Can I help you? I'm Tertia Fiducia.
What a curious name.
Got here.
39 gold is quite affordable for us.
Be seeing you.
And we are off with our freshly capable set of equipment. Since we have everything repaired, why don't we go ahead and put it all on?
Well met.
We will be continuing the Mages Guild questline and the Fighters Guild questline this time. Once we have access to the Arcane University, then we will be able to start enchanting things. That might actually give us a reason to pick up mysticism, for example. Or at least something with a soul trap effect. Perhaps a very powerful sword with a soul trap effect. Hint, hint. Off into the lush wilderness once more. We're just going to make a beeline towards our quest markers. You're afforded that sort of a privilege in this game. Morrowind was definitely unkind to people trying to look for quest locations. I'm still getting occasional frame stutters, which I have no idea how that could be happening on this game. Bethesda games have never been particularly well optimized for the graphics, at least. There's a difference between actually having good graphics and making them function well. Striking a good balance between the two is definitely necessary. Indie games can get along with very low budget but well constructed pixel graphics, for example. Ah, we'll need one of those. Well, I suppose it's mad scientist time. In only 2 flashes. Remarkable. I don't think either of those weapons are going to be particularly useful for us. We've already arrived. So, sounds like the usual start to a Fighters Guild questline. Go and smash some goblins in a cave.
You must be the reinforcement from the guild. Good. I hope you brought weapons for us.
Got ourselves a weapons shipment for you.
Just in time. We've got trouble with goblins here. I'll take the bow. You give the weapons to my other 2 men.
And sometimes you just need 2 men.
Bye.
Ah, you've got the weapons. Let's talk about that weapons shipment you brought. Excellent.
I'd like to talk about it
I
too.
long to sink a blade into some goblin flesh.
So, here he's giving you a hint. This is how they introduce the different weapon types in this game. He's obviously asking for a blade, but you know, I've never actually picked the wrong answer. Let's play against stereotypes for a bit. Let's give the scrawny elf.
Ah, a hammer. Well, not my first choice, but it will suffice. Let's go.
Beautiful.
I'm waiting.
Perhaps that lowers their
You're the one with the
disposition. That's
weapons shipment, right?
kind of funny.
Let's talk about that. Good. I need a weapon. I'm looking forward to bashing some skulls in.
Oh, I just gave my only hammer away.
A sword, huh? Good enough for me. I'll split scalps instead of bash skulls.
He had a much warmer reception to our ideas. I like him a lot more than the elf.
Okay.
Now, this is the Fighters Guild, but we don't necessarily have to fight them with Fighters Guild tactics, do we? I'm saying we zap the goblins. This area is a dead end. Should have expected that with the direction they were taking all this action.
I'm on your side.
I missed. This is exactly where we're going to need Night Eye. You guys missed a goblin. Hello? Alright, I'll take him myself. There's a very satisfying crunch with opening up those veins of ore.
I thought mudcrabs more fearsome than you.
I still feel like light is far more functional for us. After all, this isn't giving us much of an opportunity to sneak now, is it? There we go. Far less abrasive on the eyes. Guys, there's 4 of them here. 3? Maybe 4. Made even worse by the fact that the game appears to be crashing. We are not off to a very technologically capable start, are we? Yep. That is definitely a crash there. Give me a second. How's everyone else doing tonight? Hopefully your evenings are far more functional than mine. Let's get rid of that real quick and start over. I need a technical difficulty screen if this is going to be happening quite frequently. We have a background for my VTuber model, simple enough, with all the little fancy science symbols, but I would appreciate a formal intro or an outro. I am still debating whether or not I should assemble something myself, or pay someone who has a degree in that sort of presentation. There we go. Hopefully that music is not blasting you in the ears like it is for me. Alright, let's try this again. Clearly this is just a side effect of our time travel experiments.
You must be the reinforcement from the guild. Good. I hope you brought weapons for us. You've made it, and just in time. We've got trouble with goblins here. I'll take the bow. You give the weapons to my other 2 men.
I have a theory. Maybe we were sent back in time to make right what was once wrong.
A blade.
Let's swap these around and see if we don't crash.
I'm waiting.
Ah, there he is. I was worried he may have vanished.
Okay.
Now, don't screw this up a second time, please. We will switch back to our light spell, which will prove much more functional so long as we are not sneaking. Actually, that gives me some curiosities. If the goblins are engaged in combat with some other characters, is it going to be necessarily... Oh. No, they detect us regardless. Disappointing. Surprisingly, it is easier if we're backed into a corner. We have to contest with fewer of them at a time. The staggers are often quite disruptive in this game. Hit someone who blocks and you start recoiling backwards. I don't know if the loot tables are definitely changing, so we'll have to check everyone and everything again. We might find different supplies. A small sum of gold and a lockpick in these chests. Seems they've already adventured on without me. The second run-through is going much better. Sure, they were supposed to have an important mining operation here, but I think I'll just steal everything that isn't nailed down. After all, they're supposed to pay me somehow. And I don't count on the Fighters Guild to pay me what I am worth. So easy to get lost in Oblivion's caves. They're made out of very similarly looking set pieces. It's hard to distinguish them at all. This is a much tougher goblin than the others. This might be where some of our poisons are useful. Come on. There we go. I wonder if turtling with a shield is a particularly effective strategy in this game. After all, characters will recoil if they hit your shield. Would it be accurate just to sit around and block? There's 2 of you. Did the 3rd guy survive? More importantly, is there anything valuable for us down here? What an excellent start. And take a few more mushrooms. There we go. That's what I was hoping to find. I'm curious, would that just be ore, or is it implied that you're just grabbing a good old hunk of gold out of there? And now we have to navigate our way out.
Thanks, friend.
Might not necessarily be following the direction we're supposed to be going, because these tunnels tend to twist around each other. I have had plenty of situations where I got stuck walking in circles. There we go. All 3 of our gentlemen survived. That peaceful stock ambience. I appreciate the sounds of nature. Very gentle and refreshing. I'm curious about potentially staggering future nights like this. Playing high-energy fighting games and alternating them with low-energy RPGs or possibly some relaxed strategy games. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Recently I've been looking at Red Dead Redemption 2 for a game that I could be playing. What else is on the list? I would like to branch out into other Elder Scrolls games once we have a bigger following. Oblivion strikes a nice balance between the overdone Skyrim playthrough and the somewhat too niche Morrowind game. A lot of people would have grown up playing Oblivion. I know I did. It might be the Elder Scrolls game I've spent the most time on, at least during my childhood, with a console. I came into my adulthood once Skyrim had its release. From there, I definitely have played that game more than I've played any other game in my life. But that was all on PC. You know just how functional the modding scene is there. I'm also curious what the usual opinion is on between doing a heavily modded playthrough or a mostly vanilla playthrough.
Haven't you taken care of that weapon?
I most certainly
The
took
weapons
care of
there
that
and
shipment.
Cleared the mine with no casualties. Better than I expected from you. Here's your reward and a little bonus.
100 gold. A pretty measly sum, I'm afraid.
You've done well so far. I hereby promote you to apprentice. Good luck.
Curious that you only
Nothing
need
now,
one
not
contract.
your rank. Go see Azan in Anvil. Maybe he's got something.
And so we make our long expedition all the way over there. So, thus begins our second half of the journey, in which I will introduce you to all of the cities around Cyrodill for those of you unfamiliar with the game. Give ourselves a good save. Since we've already crashed only 5 minutes into the stream, we need to be best prepared for if it would happen again. Autosaves don't record everything they should. There are exploits with autosaves to where, say for example, they may retain a little bit of information from recently loaded saves. As always, it is healthiest to save manually every chance that you get. That is a cat. I've already grabbed those mushrooms. Ah, there's the battle music. Lightning is actually the most expensive of the default elements that you're able to use. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. I'm uncertain why they made elements so expensive. Or lightning. Electricity, that was the word I was looking for. It could be potentially portrayed as the most powerful of the default elements. After all, none of the races have any resistance to it. And I think only Storm Atronachs have a resistance to it out of any of the races you find in this game. Other than that, there's a lot of other Daedra that have a shock weakness. Along with lightning bolts being twice as fast as other projectiles in this game. I suppose it makes sense that they cost just a little bit more than other elements that would have similar power. We are currently making our way towards the northernmost city of Cyrodill, Bruma. We will be heading along the roads north of the Imperial City, going northwest. Right now we are currently heading due west from Shadenhall, facing the Imperial City. My cat has decided to greet me with his presence. I shall bask in it. Curious what's going on at this lodge here. Oh, it's locked and it's illicit, so it might be useful for something later. I'd rather not invade an illegally locked space so soon. We might not be very capable of defending ourselves. I must take the time after the stream to mess with the graphical parameters. Boost them up a little bit. You wouldn't mind if I touched up the graphics of this game, would you? Add in possibly some post-processing or graphical touches, which would make the game look a little less 2006. It's astonishing, this game's roughly 15 years old. Someone born when this game came out would be in high school by this point. The years are escaping me. Every day I grow older. More decrepit. That's right. Your boy Xander is unfortunately a boomer. At least a boomer among the gamer generation. I grew up playing a lot of 90s games on the computer. Back before console gaming was the single most mainstream thing. I never actually owned an old Nintendo or Sega console. My first console, unfortunately, was an Xbox. I was still playing with PC up until that point. I do believe this is the location of another alien well right here. Yes, it is. I will always appreciate these. My cat is currently making it difficult to control my character as he is laying on my mouse cord. I am not very capable of turning my head. I will grant him a moment to rest. I know everyone watching the stream would want me to treat my cat well. Plus, he is a very good soul. That looks like a Nord, so we are going to use electric spells on him. And find that he is still absolutely weak to them. Curious. She's sparking as if she has a shield effect active. You're actually taking quite the significant amount of damage. There we go. Luckily, that Aelid well gave us plenty of magicka for us to heal ourselves with. What is our optimal path to Bruma? It would be taking the right here. This will take us in the direction we need to go. Still plenty of magicka left over. That's very useful. I understand there's a metagame for enchantments in Skyrim. At least, fortifying your health and your weapon damage will be best on warriors, but you don't necessarily get that direct of an effect in this game. Sure, you can raise your skills, but it only gives you a marginal increase in this game. And it actually won't help you at all past level 100. Whereas Skyrim lets you directly buff your skills, or directly buff your damage, which should help even more, technically, once you're at a max level. I suppose stacking Fortify Magicka enchantments would be useful. There are some other enchantments which have returning investments which get better, such as shielding, for example. The more of that you stack, the more it protects, but even more so, you don't have diminishing returns. I suppose some other effects. I don't know if it's possible to stack spell absorption. That would be one of the most important effects. You can, get that off of a sigil stone, I believe, but I don't think you can apply that enchantment yourself. There's a few specific rings in this game which will give you spell absorption effects, and if you manage to get more than 100%, then, well, you become both immune to magic, and you recharge anytime you're hit with it. There are setups in this game to where you can give yourself a 101% reflect damage, so you become immune to physical attacks as well. And this is with a completely vanilla set of items. It's starting to get late, so I think we will reasonably pass the time by falling asleep in a bed once we reach Bruma. We're not too far there since the green grass has turned into grey rocks. Give you a moment to gaze at the beautiful skies here and see what phases the moons have changed to in this time. Curious, a wolf beat out a bowman? I don't think the matchup works that way normally. Already so soon, our Fortify Magicka effect is about to run out. How unfortunate. Those stones will let you summon weapons, but they only last for a certain amount of time, and if you put them away, they vanish. They might be useful for a time, but I'll elect to avoid them for now. We have a small investment in conjuration. Would it be particularly useful for us to summon the sword? That would definitely be an interesting way to level our skills. A bit more directly involved than summoning a Skelly Boy every time. Lots of clouded funnel caps growing around here. A lot of the foliage you find between Oblivion and Skyrim remains consistent, but so many of the alchemy ingredients you find in... we've gone too far, that would explain a lot. So many of the alchemy ingredients you find in Oblivion... Morrowind, actually, are different than what you'd find in Oblivion and Skyrim. That imp, you can see, was doing absolutely no damage to us since those were all fire spells. We're almost immune to fire already. We come with an innate 75% resistance, but that circlet that we did get from our little merchant questline, that boosts it even further. As well as our frost resistance. But again, so few things actually give you any resistance to lightning, so it remains a very useful element to use. Alright, you've become too disruptive. I must relocate my cat. Come here. There we go. Once again, I have transformed into a Bond villain. As he sits comfortably on my lap. He's a very affectionate cat, and I love him. Yeah, it's steadily nighttime here. Here we are in Bruma, the northernmost city and the least populous one, I believe. Either this one or Breville, possibly. This Mage's Guild actually does not have any specialization. All of the other guilds in this game have some sort of class that they specialize in, but this one is sort of well-rounded in contrast. As is necessary. Bonk. Something's gotta disrupt all that brain power. Nothing too important for us to take yet.
Hello, associate.
I think right now it would be a good time just to go to bed. This will grant us a level up, but I haven't been tracking what stat boost we should get. A little bit less than usual. Agility isn't the most useful stat for us. I might level up something else. Our personality is certainly abhorrent, but for someone who's so focused on a mage build, we don't have much investment in these stats that would contribute most to it. Let's go with... a boost to intelligence. We'll take any of those level ups we can. Actually, on the contrary. I'd already accepted my changes. It might have been useful for us to pick endurance instead. Endurance determines how much health you gain when you level up, so maxing that out early is how you make your best investments into your character. We've made a long amount of progress since then.
Why, hello there. You must be new.
That
It's
was,
so nice to see new faces
a bizarre
around here.
introduction. Alright.
If you ever need anything, just let me know. I have friends in all sorts of high places, you know, so I can get things done that others can't. And if I can do anything for you, I'd be happy to. Someday, maybe you could return the favor.
Give me that
A
recommendation. That's
recommendation?
all I'm here
Really?
for.
Well, of course. Raminus would naturally want my opinion, wouldn't he?
That
This
sounds
is
a little
situation
grandiose.
We can both benefit from, associate. You do me a small favor, and I'll happily send along a glowing recommendation.
At least she's polite
If
in
you
spite
can
of her
find Jaskar,
arrogance.
I'll write the recommendation immediately.
What about this
He's
Jaskar?
disappeared. I mean, he's really disappeared. No one here has seen him in days. Volinaro thinks maybe a spell backfired. If someone from the council were to stop by and find him gone, it'd look bad for me. I can't have that.
Shouldn't you be concerned
Talk to
with
the
his
ladies
actual
here
disappearance and
see
not your
what you can
image?
Find out. If you can make Jaskar reappear, you'll have your recommendation.
So, pick your poison.
Please come find me as
Fighters
soon
Guild
as
is
you're
full
located
of bullies
Jaskar.
that will be insulting you, as well as the arena, both because of the similar nature of those professions. Mages Guild, on the other hand, is filled with a lot more arrogant
Hello,
souls.
associate.
I believe we should probably look for Volanaro first. There he is. Ah, how useful would that be in real life if you were to look at someone and know their name before you can talk to them?
Oh, Jean has you looking for him, does she? I'm afraid you're not going to find him easily. I think, a spell backfired. That's probably it.
That sounds suspicious.
We'll see.
We'll do our usual magic instead.
You don't... I won't fight you. You've got a point. I can't... What nonsense. That's a I won't fight you.
That was a wonderful bit of progress, and so soon.
You want to find Jaskar? All right, I think I can help with that. But you have to agree to do something for me first. And whatever you do, you can't tell Jean about it, all right?
Very well.
That's the spirit. You help me pull off a little prank, and I'll help you find Jaskar.
I do appreciate it, Frank.
Really? You're going to love this. I'll teach you a spell to unlock things. What you need to do is get into Jean's desk and bring me her manual of spellcraft, okay? Her room is upstairs. Make sure no one sees you. You do that for me, and I'll make sure you can find Jaskar.
I'll take it, definitely.
Let me know when you're...
Minor latch crack. What does that have an effect of? Easy. So, it opens up a level 25 lock. Not necessarily the least
Greetings,
of locks. So we have an interesting mix of magic schools here. We have... We're going to have to do this the hard way. We have a disposition challenge, which will require us to use a charm spell or speechcraft. And then we have a desk which needs to be unlocked, which would use an alteration spell to unlock it. Did you... Are you seeing this?
Go away. You'll ruin everything.
I think we found Jaskar. And, it certainly feels like a spell backfired. I'm not done with you yet. Talk to me again. It's 8 a.m. You should be up by now.
Pulled that little prank yet? You've got Jean's book, I see. All right then. I'll just take that from you. Meet me here in the living quarters, just after 10 p.m.
It sounds like we have some time to kill. Let's take a cruise around town and see if there's any other quests for us to take. Every city will have a few. Don't think there's anything going on in the Fighters Guild, so let's just talk around. Usually even a guard will tell you if something fishy has been happening as of late.
Can I help you? Yeah, I've heard of him. Isn't he a soldier or guardsman in the Imperial City?
Well, that wasn't particularly helpful.
Did you hear about Braden Lyrian? A vampire hunter named Raynal Draelis made his way into town, snuck into his house, and killed him. Yes, the vampire hunter. As far as I know, he just showed up recently here in Bruma. Not only that, but he already found a vampire among us.
Now that sounds like a quest.
Braden Lyrian was one of those vile creatures, and Raynal slew him. Kind of strange, though. I never figured Braden to be a vampire. He seemed to be such a likable fellow.
There's us a quest. While we're here, there's also other curiosities such as the DLC homes. The one for the mage characters located somewhere around here on the map. I do enjoy the mage tower. It doesn't seem to be full of too much going on, but it is the only way in the game for you to enchant items without having access to the Arcane University. There's also a warrior house, which is at the end of the Coral Road here, and a house for thieves somewhere around here south of Leowin. What do you think would fit us the most? Oh no, that's considered breaking the law. Look at him jog.
Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are now forfeit. That's too bad. I was hoping you'd resist arrest.
Well, it seems we found out what was giving us an
Here's the
issue.
procedure.
We attempted to pick a lock in broad daylight, and even though we didn't commit any actual crimes, that still will cost us 5 gold. And until we are much more capable, we will behave as law-abiding citizens. The sociopathic phase only comes later in the game once we start using overpowered spells and enchantments. Even though the game will scale to your level, there's a variety of super powerful enchantments and spells that you can get which will even the odds in your favor. Curious that we had a quest marker to that place. There we go. Now instead we have a green arrow to our actual quest marker that we're looking for.
You're going to have to leave. This is a crime scene, and no one other than ourselves, our Reynald Draelus, will be allowed access.
Tell me about this man.
The culprit in this crime has already been dealt with. It's just a matter of wrapping up the details. I'd tell you more, but frankly, I don't know who you are, so I'm not sure that I can trust you with that sort of information.
They drop those hints just so easily to you. Let us begin. We're off to an excellent start.
I wish. Is that so? Well, please, I'm embarrassed, but you, what a wonderful. No, you.
This is so far going
I
quite
wish
well
I
for
could
us.
say that.
Let's see what he has to
I
say
suppose
now.
There's no harm in telling you what happened. Word is bound to get around Bruma anyway. Turns out that Braden Lyrian is a vampire. Or was. If it wasn't for Reynald Draelus, we may never have uncovered the truth. Let me explain. In the last week or so, we've found 2 bodies stashed in shallow graves outside the city walls.
Oh
The
dear.
bodies had puncture wounds on their necks.
Well, that certainly sounds like a trustworthy source.
They used to wander the streets looking for handouts. Vampire probably thought no one would miss them. Luckily for us, Reynald arrived in town. He said he was a vampire hunter, so we asked for his help. He tracked the vampire to this house. When he entered the place around noon, Braden was sleeping. He was able to slay him at that point. Luckily, Braden's wife wasn't home. Poor thing. She didn't even know her husband was infected. We did a follow-up investigation, and it's true that no one recollects seeing Braden out in the daylight. He's only been spotted at night. I'm afraid there's not much more to tell you, so you can see we really don't need any help, but thanks for the offer.
Well, that does sound like a solid case against him, but knowing Oblivion's writing, there's bound to be some sort of a plot twist in here somewhere.
As far as I know, he was a good man. I never saw this coming. But vampires are masters of deception, so I guess it makes sense.
Indeed it does. You're one of the least horrible Oblivion NPCs I've seen today.
I'm impressed. It only took him a day to track the vampire down. Feel free to question anyone in town. They shouldn't give you too much trouble. Excuse me.
Please leave me be.
I'm not going to.
I can't believe this is happening. Forgive me. I loved my husband dearly, and to lose him this way makes no sense. Anything you can do to help would be wonderful. This is all happening so fast.
I suppose I would feel like her if I was in her
I
position.
came home only just a few hours ago. I found the door open, and my Braden dead. Standing over him was a Dunmer. I screamed and ran out into the
I take
street.
offense to that.
Some city watch were nearby and heard me, I suppose, as they arrived quickly. I heard the Dunmer identify himself as Reynald Draelus. He said he was a vampire hunter, and that Braden was his mark. The guards seemed to know about Rainhill, and after a search of the house, the body of some beggar was found stashed in our basement. The guards sent for Courteous, who is an investigator for crimes here in Bruma. In minutes, Rainhill convinced Courteous that Braden was a vampire. Well, of course it does. It was obviously planted here. Why would he stash a body in his own house? That's ridiculous.
Good point.
And another thing. The guards are making a big deal out of no one seeing Braden out in the daylight. Well, of course that's the case. He works at night and has to sleep during the day. Why does that make him a vampire?
What exactly did he work?
Character. I don't trust him. The thing that bothers me the most is that I swear I've seen him before.
Here's our little plot
He says
twist,
he's
then.
never been here. Look, there isn't much more to say. Please, help me clear my husband's name.
I'll find the truth no matter whose it is.
I know I sound desperate, but I know I'm right.
After all, the wife would know him better than anyone else. The quest log will have some good directions for you even if you don't have any markers. It does recommend that you check the inns in town, so that's where we can start talking. Let's see.
Hello. What can I do for you today?
Have you seen this
I
man?
usually don't give out that kind of information, especially to people I don't know.
They drop flags just so
Make it
easily
quick.
to you. What a silly little minigame. How could you hate this? We're just dancing around with little cheese wheels here.
I doubt you really mean. I accept. Was that? You're a big fat lie. I'm not buying that one. You're
I missed it.
Don't, please. I'm sorry. I doubt. I accept. Blah blah blah.
That should be
Don't.
good. Rotate
You're
those.
full of it.
It's being particularly difficult for him.
No more. I'm not buying that one. You're. Was that supposed
There we
to
go.
be a compliment?
We're starting to get it going in the right
Sure,
direction.
That's cute. You're I don't, please. I'm sorry. I accept. Was that not bad? Don't make me. Yeah. Don't. That's a.
The sound design in this game is phenomenal. I appreciate the sound of those little wheels turning.
I usually don't. Take your time.
We've reached our maximum disposition that we can get with him normally, but with a good little illusion spell we picked up earlier,
What can I do for you today?
obviously he forgets that we just magicked him.
Randall's staying in the last room down the hall upstairs. Here's the key.
How
I
fancy.
always liked Braden and Arlene. They were a nice couple. I hope you get to the bottom of this, because I don't believe he was a vampire either.
We have a much better case against him. Why are the guards so collective on this conspiracy? Seems he's not home. We're immediately given the option to search, including this conspicuously placed journal. I discovered a small journal in Raynill's room at the inn. It seems he was part of a group of adventurers who uncovered an artifact of some sort from some Iliad ruins. They all agreed to stash the artifact in a cave until more research could be done about it. Each of them took a key to the chest it was secured in. The two other members of the group were Braden and someone named Gilliborn. I need to find more information about Gilliborn to confirm my suspicions about Raynill. Olaf may be able to help. I'll take this while we can. No one's going to miss it. After all,
Hello.
if it's something hidden and it goes missing, wouldn't you just assume
can I
you
do for you
forgot
today?
where you placed it? Tell me about this fellow.
Gilliborn? That's odd that you should mention that name. Reynold told me that he was the last vampire he hunted. Yeah, that's right. Somewhere in Skingrad, I believe. He said he tracked Gelborn down and killed him. That's apparently why the guards trust him so readily. They had gotten word from Skingrad City Watch about Reynill and his so-called accomplishment.
Well, This is getting
Just
juicy.
for me if you need anything else.
What does it look like to you at this point? Sounds like they might have been fighting over a treasure? Sounds like an interesting way to disguise a crime.
Hello.
Let's see what we got.
You're back.
Yes, I'm
So-
definitely back.
Any new revelations in your investigation?
Curious how he says that. Did you hear him? He's just, investigation? You really enjoy crime fighting, don't you?
How do you know about that? Oh, too many people don't know how to keep quiet about official matters. Very well. The Skingrad City Watch informed us that Gelliborn was killed by Raynor not too long ago. Gelliborn was a vampire as well, obviously.
Oh, I've been waiting to say this for the longest time. I disagree.
What do you mean you disagree? That's a bold statement. What proof do you have that Gelliborn was not a vampire?
I have his journal right here.
I don't know what to say. It all makes perfect sense now. Why else would Raynor have removed this journal from the crime scene in Skingrad? I heard no mention of a key.
So
of it.
quickly he's
It must
convinced.
have been removed by Raynor from Braden's body before we arrived. To think that 2 innocent men were killed, and that I'm responsible for one of their deaths, I'm speechless. I will rouse the guard and begin a search for him in the city. Meet me at Olev's Tap and Tack in 1 hour.
Sounds like a plan. We're getting one step closer to figuring this one out.
Do you have any more questions? I have no idea where he'd be. Just find him and make him tell you the truth. I swear he's a liar. I know I sound desperate, but I know I'm right.
I understand that feeling too myself. There's plenty of times in which I have absolutely no evidence for my case, but I know I am 120% correct. This is usually all the time, by the way. We're only a few hours into the morning today. What else could we be doing to pass the time? After all, I'd prefer not to wait for 12 consecutive hours, given that we need specific time frames, and I'd rather just have something to occupy most of the time in between. Can I jump on here? I can. There are a variety of ways you can jump across the roofs of buildings in this game. You can actually step outside of the cities in these cells. It's also possible to just do it a lot easier with commands on PC, but I've managed to do such a thing on the console versions of this game. I didn't actually own PC Oblivion until after I'd already owned PC Skyrim. Our equipment is still in relatively stable condition, but stopping by the blacksmith should definitely help us.
Fjotrid, you need armor or weapons, new or repair. Come to Hammer and Axe.
You have an exceptionally wide face.
If it's broken, I can fix it. What can I interest you in?
No one seems to be selling too much more useful items yet, but that's certainly an interesting item. A blade with a command effect. Yeah, nothing better than steel in here. I like the looks of that item, but it's unfortunately 8,000 gold. We're unlikely to be able to steal it.
Bye.
Ah, phooey. I might as well just hit the wait button. We've passed by a few way shrines on our way around Cyrodill, so let's just see if we can stop in for a couple of blessings. There is a font at each of these spots here, and they will each deliver you a good stat buff for a while, but only for the ones whose shrines you have found. Interesting that we don't really see too much of their depiction in the other games. This is definitely the game that the Nine themselves have the most influence on. Precious stained glass windows and all, given their very obvious inspirations here. I mean, we already know what this chapel is supposed to look like. They have a sort of background relevance to the story in Skyrim, at least with the Civil War questline. And if I remember correctly, they have absolutely no relevance to Morrowind. I never did the Imperial Cult questline, so maybe that's where they were supposed to be involved. Perhaps there's something going on at the end already. It doesn't take long for an hour to pass in-game. I think it's roughly analogous to 3 seconds equates to 2 minutes in-game.
Anything else I can help with? You just let me know.
Yeah.
I know I
What
may
else do
be
you
out of
know?
line by saying this, but I think the city guards may be wrong. It's hard to imagine Braden was a vampire. I could have sworn I saw him outside in the daylight before. Unless he just got that disease very recently, I'd say they were mistaken. When I heard Raynil killed him, I didn't know what to think. But after your visit here, I'm beginning to wonder. And nothing else I can tell you about him. He comes and goes and doesn't talk to people much.
Certainly seems like an interesting
Just
set
look
of
for me if
dialogue.
you need anything else.
I would consider it plausible to wait around for an hour, so let's do exactly that.
Whatever I can do.
Just before I arrived here, I received a report from one of our scouts watching the roads.
What did he
Raynil
say?
was spotted heading west out of Bruma. The scout tried to follow, but lost him in the mountains. The only cave to the west that comes close to the one described in Gelliborn's journal is Boreal Stone Cave. That must be where he's headed. You must get
We have
there
ourselves
before
a
he
lead.
acquires whatever artifact is being kept there and makes his escape. I'm keeping the city guard in Bruma, as Raynil doesn't know we're after him. If he sees a guard, he may panic and run. You're my only hope at the moment. Please, you have my authorization to do everything you can to bring him to justice.
Does this give me
If he
permission to
won't
rob
surrender,
every store
I
in
think you
town?
know what
I'd
to
hope
do.
so.
Hurry. I fear you have a day at the most to stop him.
You know, I don't know if this quest is actually timed in that time frame. It would be interesting. They don't allow you to fail too many quests in this game. Now that we are once again fighting alone, I think it would be good to take the sneaky route in. Hello there and welcome to the stream. We're currently hunting vampire hunters. The hunter will soon become the hunted. Can I squeeze through here? Yes, I can. Yeah, objects are definitely fading in a lot closer than they should, so we could afford a graphical boost. The frosted trees look a bit less good in this game, I'm afraid. Mostly the green handles itself well, but it's a lot easier to see that billboard effect when the trees themselves have little stretches of white all over them. It's easier to view something that's been billboarded as an amorphous mass if it's all one color. They still look exceptional for 2006, however. And unless you're specifically paying attention to it, you'd never notice. This was always one of my favorite things to do on console, was to stand under the tall trees and just rotate around. It's so bizarre. Our quest marker leads us next door, not to here. I'm just going to steal the fruits of your labor, and the vegetables of them. That might be the Iliad ruin in question. Wonder what artifact they found. Hopefully it's something powerful and enchanted that I could steal. And here is where we need to be. I like that quest entry. Short, sweet, and to the point. Now we will start crouching, and right here is where we would like to engage our Night Eye instead. Given that I have nothing bound to 6, I could probably make use of just binding both of those spells and using them interchangeably. Oh.
Congratulations. I had a feeling you would catch on sooner or later. Leaving that journal behind was a stupid mistake on my part.
His eyes are
I saw
extremely
you enter
huge.
Olaf's tap and tack before I could get there, and I knew that I had to sneak out of Rumor somehow. It was only a matter of time before you or Carius figured it out. No matter. After I've killed you, I won't need my vampire hunter ruse any longer.
Interesting that he's talking to us before he's technically discovered us.
Certainly not. I'm surprised Carius didn't send the entire city watch up here. But then I would have seen that coming, I suppose. I expected to lay low for a while and then be on my way. So again, I underestimated you. This leaves me with little choice. Either I fight you now and have a chance at freedom, or I surrender and rot in a city dungeon.
You're not the best
I
at making eye
prefer the chance
contact,
for
buddy.
freedom. Yes, I suppose it is. Well then, we've talked enough. Only one of us will walk out of here alive this day. Good luck.
Do you think he'll see us? Ah, he has seen us. And he has some of those bound spells that we mentioned. And he's doing an exceptional amount of damage. Wow. This is definitely the toughest foe that we fought so far. I'd like to avoid clashing my sword against him. Ah, silver sword. That is a huge step up from what we've been using. I think his armor might be more functional as well. It doesn't seem to have any difference in stats, but we could sell it for a marginal sum. All 3 keys. What's going on in here? Fairly unremarkable, and I'm sure of its function. I think I should bring it back to Erlene Lyrian and see what she wants me to do with it. Well, if it's not enchanted, we don't have any particular use for it. We could enchant any other old necklace that we find. Morrowind was very interesting. Certain items were more enchantable than others. I don't think that's the case in Skyrim, though I have seen some mods that make it so. Make it to where enchanting robes or such would actually be more powerful than enchanting armor. Morrowind had quite its share of complexities that I actually would be very happy to see return. We've already made this short trek and we're not interested in the in-between here, so we will once again use our fast travel. I'll also swiftly recharge our magicka so we have the opportunity to get off more healing spells. Let's see what's in here.
What news do you bring?
I don't bring news, but I bring an amulet.
Long ago, I made a promise to Braden. I promised to never reveal to anyone what I'm about to reveal to you now.
It's full of magic and I can have it.
Because you've avenged his unjust death, I feel that Braden would understand why I'm breaking that pact.
Dead men tell no
Braden told
tales
me about
and
this
have no
amulet
secrets.
When they first brought it home from whatever distant land it came from. He never really trusted anyone else in the group, and before he secured the treasure in that cave, he had a special enchantment placed upon it.
It doesn't have an
The
enchantment,
magic
you goon.
masks the true identity of the item. All it takes is a simple command word, and the amulet would be restored to its true state.
Functional enchantments, all right.
No, he always feared this day would come. He left me knowledge of that word in the event that he died, and I came into possession of the keys. If the other members of Braden's group were still alive, and I on my deathbed. Only then would I pass the knowledge on to them.
Well, what's the word?
If you'd give me that amulet, I would like to show you what you've recovered.
What's the password?
Thank you. I will now speak the word,
Amogus.
brother. Here
Or
is
not.
the amulet back.
Shame.
It's as beautiful as it was the day I remember.
Hello there, and
seeing
welcome
it
to the
long
stream.
ago. I want you to keep it, as I have no use for this anymore. I'm certain that's what I want, and I'm certain that's what Braden would want.
It looked like a shield
I
effect,
thank you from
so
the bottom
I think
of
it will
my
be a
heart.
shield amulet,
I hope
which
that
we can
the
definitely
amulet
make good
helps
use
keep you
of.
safe on whatever roads you may travel. Justice has been done.
Phylactery of what? Litheness. Never mind, it's actually a fortify speed enchantment, which could be even more useful for us. Speed will actually let you move faster even if you level past 100. So even if we max out speed here, we'll still be slightly faster while wearing it. It's a small enchantment, but we'll make use of it. I think that was a good enough short quest to waste our time here. It should be somewhat in the afternoon. Let's just muse around with the usual wait. Rather as to not waste the entire day away. We should check downstairs and our buddy Volinaro should have an answer for us. Wherever he is to be found. There we go.
Ready to find Jaskar? Just watch. You'll see.
Oh. Well, that was simple enough.
Hello there. I hear you've been looking for me.
Oh, please don't be mad. We were just having some fun.
I love how the expressions in this game cause the cats to actually bend their ears backwards
She
when they're
barely knows
upset.
anything about magic. Every now and then, we like to trick her. We figured it was time to move on to a new prank. This one was getting boring anyway, so you can tell her you found me.
Ah, simple enough.
Take care.
That's already, what, 3 quests completed? We're making excellent progress.
Hello, associate.
You're not the person I need to talk
My
to,
name
but...
is Selina Arania. I'm a Mage's Guild journeyman. Be seeing you.
If I remember, there was actually an interesting bit of trivia. There's one spell sold by one of these people, which is the only location you can buy
Any
that
luck
spell in this
finding
game.
Jaskar?
I forget which one it is.
Found him, did you? Well, I suppose that's good.
Do we even
You'll
tell
have
him
to
what
forgive me.
actually happened to
I
him?
seem to have misplaced something. Yes, well, let's never mind that. You've fulfilled your end of the bargain, though, so I'll fulfill mine. Romanus will have my recommendation. And don't you forget about me. once
Very
you've
well.
Finished your training. I'm sure we can help each other out.
Once I've finished my training, I'm not sure what we can come back here for. Most of the guild halls aren't necessarily too useful once you've trained your abilities and gotten your way into the Arcane University. It might be at night, but I think it would be far easier just to make our beeline towards Coral. That is where our next quest would be. Whose horse is that? Shouldn't it be in the stable? I wonder what the prices of the horses are. Maybe a few thousand gold for us to be able to secure one from Shadenhall. Either that, or beeline our way through the Dark Brotherhood questline, but we'll come across those things naturally. I'm not going to optimize my playthrough here. I'm not much of a min-max player. That's a lie, I'm totally a min-max player, but if it requires too much effort from me, I usually don't play into it. What would a similar word be? Min most? Min a lot? I try to get by with the most for being as extremely lazy as I possibly can. Whatever will get me the most with the least amount of effort. effort specifically being different from investment. I think that was our first Akatosh shrine, so we should be able to receive his blessings at his chapels now. We'll be heading roughly in a southwesterly direction. I think there's actually a road which directly connects Bruma and Coral. There is. It's separate from the one which surrounds the Imperial City. So, we will be on this path for a while. Take a moment to relax and strike up some wonderful conversations. The night sky is a bit too foggy for us to go stargazing yet. Shame. This actually looks like it might be an Aelid well. They're usually located right next to a road. I'll take that. This might be able to last us until we reach Coral, so we should be better prepared against anything we do find attacking us on these roads. In the instance of more freeform exploration, I usually like to leave my quest markers off. I forget why I still have this blue one. What was going on here? I'm not sure if that was actually given there to mark anything important. It might have been an accident that that thing was even placed here at all. On our way across the bridge we go. And a beautiful view of the Imperial City from up here. With a lovely set of bridges. Awfully quiet at night. Normally you're getting attacked by bears at this point. We'd have a much more lively experience if we were to just head straight through the woods, I suppose. These are birch trees, I believe. At least that's what it looks like the patterning is on that bark. I love that Cyrodill is split off into such different regions. These are what I believe are the Colovian Highlands? No, Great Forest. Colovian Highlands would be further west, right? Imperial Reserve, County Kovach, Gold Coast. I do love the map they provided in this game. You'd actually get one with the game itself. I think that was the case if you completely unfolded your manual, or was that only with special editions? I can't remember. These steel blue mushrooms will be important for us. Let's go ahead and craft just a couple of potions for the moment. Flax seeds and steel blue. Get ourselves some bog beacons. That will give us a much bigger intelligence bonus when we level up next. It would be nice to at least get our alchemy up to an apprentice level. That way we would be able to get 2 effects out of the ingredients we find. One effect for every single level you get, and then once you reach the maximum level, you can actually start making potions with a single ingredient. This does have some interesting effects. Since flax seeds have 0 weight, and have Fortify or Restore Magicka as their first effect, you can create a potion with Restore Magicka, and it will have technically 0 weight since the ingredients you put into it would only be a 0 weight flaxseed. I don't know exactly how a glass bottle would weigh nothing, but it's something I would appreciate if it were to be invented. Weightless bottles, could you imagine? Including whatever you put in them. What do you do? Mix it with water, I believe? Hopefully we'll find a lot of those on this path. I think those mushrooms also deal fire damage later, so you can create some very interesting offensive potions with them. They reflect light rather well, so they're easier to find. And they completely litter this path on the way to Coral. Thought I saw a way shrine, but there wasn't one up there. Yeah, they seem to be absolutely everywhere to be found here. Lovely. We might have more of these than we have flax seeds at this point, so that gives us plenty of potions to create. And there we go. Very importantly, and right when we run out of flax seeds, we reach apprentice level in alchemy. Here we can start seeing 2 effects at once, which, if I had any more bog beacons, I'd be able to use those. Shield is found on there, that's useful. Fire damage, burden. We will find some other useful effects on these. What's very interesting is with the poisons, you get access to the very rare damage stat effects. I imagine it would be a lot more balanced if they were in a limited supply as opposed to a spell which directly destroys your opponent's stats. You could just use those on NPCs. I wonder, if you assault townsfolk with poisons, do their stats ever restore naturally? What a lovely bridge over water feature there. You know, we could attack this guard and steal his horse, but that would be a very interesting start of darkness to the Dark Brotherhood questline. We only carry measly steel weapons with. Actually, we have a silver weapon now, which also carries a bonus versus undead creatures. So, how very useful for us to find this so early in the game. Deer just fading into existence, right in front of us. Cyrodill is a very odd place. It's funny, we've gone so far past what these games understand, that since it didn't recognize my hardware, it just automatically set my stats to, or my graphics parameters to medium quality. I think there's also a number of older games you can find that even when you're running on the newest and most premium of hardware, they'll auto-detect for low settings. Guess they assume that no one would be playing those games 10 years later. Who? Me? Little old me. I'm afraid not.
Ha! You'll never take me down.
Yes, I will. Easy as 1, 2, 3. You know, I always felt this road was longer, but keeping up a good conversation will pass the time. We have already arrived here at Coral. Should we be starting the main quest while we're here? I have some curious reasons not to, but this might not be my only playthrough of Oblivion. I'm curious about the prospect of starting another playthrough once we have a much bigger following. It would be a much more lively experience to start making our decisions collectively, as opposed to me just wandering aimlessly about. If I have an audience to please who would prefer me to be so much more blatantly sociopathic, I suppose I have no choice but to please the crowds. It's interesting, even stepping out of that sewer immediately. All of the sewer's locations are unlocked for you, so you can immediately just beeline straight to Coral. And have a game crash while you're at it. Hopefully our autosave was not too far behind. I would like not to make that trek again, but relevant to the conversation we were just having, we can immediately fast travel there. Back past our lovely loading screens. If this game keeps crashing like this, I might not play it much longer. Give it a moment. You can't manually skip the intro screens to Oblivion. Now it should be loading in. Excellent. We're already back at Bruma. It will be a very long trek to get back, but we're just going to skip that. Unfortunately, that means we don't get our alchemy level up. Save often, kids. We get our coral notification, but we're going to go look at the Mages Guild first and foremost. Take a good nap there. I think it was this way. I don't remember Coral very well. It's one of my least visited cities. Was it in the other direction? I do remember what the buildings looked like. They were the only sight that I'd see while I was here. Ah, here we are. We're in the correct spot. Around the lovely tree here. How polite of them to keep their doors unlocked at night. I wish everyone would do that. It would make my nighttime robberies much easier. Three floors, how luxurious. Hopefully no one saw that. I suppose that would also count as a crime. Weak potion of willpower, good. Soul gems, good. Weak potion of personality, I know I could definitely use one of those. Crumpled pieces of paper. And a nice, warm, comfortable bed. Different characters will have different schedules in this game, and one interesting thing is that shopkeepers keep a very steady schedule of, say, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for running their stores. A lot of the mage characters will get up at, like, noon and stay up till 2 a.m., so I suppose it is appropriate for me to be a mage in this game.
What is it? I'm Contumeliorius Florius. I'm in charge of enchanted item recharge in the Mages Guild here in Coral. Get it? In charge.
Thank you, Wes Johnson.
Take care.
Hello, Guild. Of course not.
I know that the leader of this guild, I believe, there he is.
What is it, associate?
Once again, we are speaking to an Argonian.
I'm afraid
What do you
I
have
can't
to
just
tell me?
write one out of hand. That would be against protocols, you see.
A man of the books. I appreciate
you
it.
can clear up a small matter involving Irana. You can prove your loyalty to the guild and earn my recommendation.
The lizards are red in this game. I can't remember if they have much red skin in Skyrim.
She and I have an unpleasant history.
Curious.
She does not care for guild regulations and errantly believes I am misusing my powers. I have seen that she is in town. Though she has not approached me, I know she wants something. I would like you to find out what it is.
Very well. I'll accept your
Determine what
quest.
she's after, and
After all, I
I'll
kind of need it to
with
get into
her.
college.
I do not want her here spreading her lies. Make haste.
Let's rock.
I wish to be rid of Irana as soon as possible.
Bye. A
Coral
pleasure to
here
meet
is
you.
actually the
Have a look
place
around.
that gives you the
You won't find
most
better prices in all
conjuration
Canterbury.
spells. And unfortunately, our bound sword that we're so interested in is far above our pay grade. Seems all of these spells are. We have a lot of training to be doing with our undead, with our conjuration magic.
Goodbye.
Do you sell me anything more accessible?
May I interest you in some of my fine wares?
He does. Exactly how much damage would a bound dagger be doing for me? We'll give it a try. Let's see what else we got. A decent set of spells, but our skills aren't high enough to cast any of them. Six damage. That's equivalent to our silver longsword, but it also swings much faster. That is a very useful spell that I think we can make very good use of binding. I've always enjoyed bound weapon builds in these games. I build towards that a lot in Skyrim, and I wish there was a lot more interesting things you could do with them.
Ah, yes. You are a guild mage.
An entire tree just for bound weapons would be nice.
Yes.
I don't think Skyrim has much investment in it.
There's a small matter with which you may be able to assist. It's nothing worth involving your guild in, I assure you.
I don't like the look of
Best
this.
kept just between us, yes? So, what say you?
I'll bite, but I could be lying.
It's a simple task.
You have no way to
really.
tell, do you?
All you need to do is fetch a book for me. The book is entitled Fingers of the Mountain. It is of no use to you. You won't be able to read it. I, however,
Is that a
can,
comment on my
very much
illiteracy?
like to.
I would very
You'll
much like
find
to
it in
prove
an
you
old ruin
wrong.
Called Cloud Top. It's north of Coral, up in the mountains. I'm afraid I don't have an exact location. Return it to me immediately when you have it. Make no mention of it to Tychius or anyone else in your guild. I will make it well worth your effort.
I'm uncertain about your promises here, but let's go along with it.
Well,
Speak to our
then,
lizard
what do
boy
you
here.
want?
See what he has to say.
What? Not only does it exist, but she knows where it is? Well, this is unacceptable. That book needs to be in the safekeeping of the guild. I trust that as a
Apparently
member
our
of the
little
guild,
Mountain Finger
you
book
will
is
do
very
the
valuable.
thing and acquire this text before Irana does. Are we clear? Ignore her request. Go to this place she has described and return with the book. This is far more important than any petty squabble.
Seems like a lot of playing up for a book about mountain fingers.
Finding that book should be your...
What exactly would a mountain finger be? Not the most descriptive of titles. Poetic, yes, but it still tells me nothing. I wish someone would actually tell me what that book is useful for. So, for a minor investment in Magicka, we currently have the best weapon we could actually be carrying right now. That would be a Daedric dagger, and if you sheath it, it just goes away. I wish it wouldn't automatically re-unsheath whatever your other weapon was. Ah, it looks like we'll be heading up into the mountains. Heading straight there might actually not get us where we need to be. We may run into some cliffs which are far too steep for us to climb. But with the fences here, we should be back on the right track. Steps is exactly where they would have explicitly designed us to step upward. I like looking at set pieces arranged like that. You see, most of the other rocks are arranged somewhat haphazardly, but they pay a lot more attention to detail along the roads that you travel. Previously, I would play a lot of Spore with the Galactic Adventures expansion pack, if anyone here remembers that. Excuse me for 1 second. Ah, we need to be right in their face to do any damage. That was one of my first forays into a sort of game design experience, was with the Galactic Adventures expansion to Spore. That was what, 2009, I believe? You'd have plenty of set pieces that you could easily assemble yourself, and you'd be able to make missions and quests out of that game. I don't know if we've had any proper successor to it. Nothing I've heard of so far. We're here where we need to be. And that is a very smiley dead guy. He has the book we're looking for. Why would his eyes be glowing if he was a corpse? What the most bizarre set of textures on him. We're probably on the edge of the map over here. I think there's actually some regions you can travel somewhat in this direction where you'd actually end up off of the map itself. Off of the highlighted area, at least. You can wander just a little bit farther into the wilderness before it stops you. But this being a Bethesda game, they give you plenty of invisible walls, I believe. See, that will level up our conjuration quite nicely. We'll be ready for more powerful summon Daedra and bound weapons later. But not much later. I forget, does Bound Sword give you the one-handed or the two-handed version? Ah, this isn't an imp this time. Doing exceptional damage with that. I don't think we'll be able to travel much farther from here normally. That's probably the barrier that they've given us to exit. Up that way is actually where the Reach would be in Skyrim. Or Falkreath, if you're going further east. I almost miss playing Elder Scrolls Online. Who should we be taking it back to? Irana or... I think we'll be responsible. Let's just go ahead and take it straight back to our lizard friend here. After all, if we handed it off, then we'd probably get in trouble, wouldn't we?
News of the book. Go ahead, please. You found the book? My trust in you was well placed, it seems.
Of course.
Hand it over, if you please.
If you set up a facade of trustworthiness, then
Yes,
you might be able to
this
get
is
away with
indeed the
lying
correct
better
book.
later.
You've not been able to open it, I presume. Then all is well. You have shown yourself worthy of the guild, and for that I thank you. You shall have the recommendation you need.
Excellent.
Now, I must ensure this book is kept safe. Excuse me.
Well, we have a recommendation there, don't we? Excellent. Well, what does that leave us with? Now we only have Anvil's quest to complete.
I've been better.
I'm pretty sure there's not necessarily spoilers about Kvatch. This game's been out for 15 years, so everyone should know what's going on there. I think we should make our way to Anvil, and then everything will be nice and dandy after that point. What did we have to do for the Anvil questline? Ah, that one was easy. So, the Skingrad quest teaches you a destruction spell. The Breville quest teaches you about illusion spells. But there's not a demonstration for the other magic schools from the other guilds, is it? After all, Anvil is supposed to be the city focused around restoration magic, and they don't teach you anything about that either. This will also be a bit of a long trek. This will be the longest distance we've actually walked so far in this game. I think that would be a bit longer than the path going from Leywind to Shadenhall. There's so much empty space in this area too. You think they'd have enough to place maybe one more city out here? I don't appreciate all the empty space. Fill up your game world. That's a good mark of a game designer. Interesting set of statues here. A lot more decorated and intact than you find in most Alien ruins. They're all going to have some sort of bird or eagle motif, because that's just sort of the modus operandi of the High Elves. I say Ayleid, and that is the nickname for the High Elves that lived in the Heartlands, or that made Cyrodill their home. Your fire is not going to be that very powerful, Bubs. Curious that the imps are labeled as a mythical creature in this game. They have the appearance of what you'd expect of a Daedra, perhaps. Oblivion really does feel like a non sequitur between Morrowind and Skyrim, but all three games are very distinct. Ah. Seems lightning might still be our best bet. Much better than a dagger, but that is a skill I'd like to level a lot faster. Let's see what we got here. Another way shrine. I think it would have been better to go to Anvil first, because following across all these way shrines would have advanced our way through the Knights of the Nine questline. This is the most obnoxious and least interesting part of that questline. You have to make a pilgrimage to every single shrine. Out of the green and into the more yellow. Look at that transition. Beautiful. Green trees and lush forests out to these... What would this be? Would this be a wheat field of some sort? Covered in moss? We have another way shrine here so close by. Hello and welcome to the stream. We're going part pilgrimage, part on our way to Anvil. From there we'd be able to properly start our pilgrimage. Hacking and slashing our way through every wolf that we come across. What a beautiful shade of crimson. And it's gone. That's a silver sword. Would an actual silver sword tarnish super quickly? I believe so. Who are you and what are you doing out here?
You frighten the animals and make my work more difficult.
Please do tell... Okay. She has a crown around here, but she's not going to tell us anything interesting at all. Wonder what's going on with her. Is that a... That is. That's a shrine icon on our map. Let's go look at it. You don't get that out of Skyrim, do you? It doesn't show you nearby landmarks on your compass. He took an awfully large number of lightning bolts to go down, so perhaps he had an innate resistance to shock as well. It might not just be Storm Atronachs. You see that icon for the shrine there on the compass? Looking at it now on PC, it definitely looks more like someone wearing robes and splaying out their arms, but when I was little, I always kind of saw it as a genie lamp shape, in the sense that you would be summoning some mythical creature. Sanguine, you say? He's not going to give us a quest yet. Unfortunate. That looks like a building. Where have we ended up? Ah. Not too far from Skingrad out here we are. I don't think we had any immediately urgent business to be having back there, so we will skip our town visit. Beautiful red maples as well. I love that the trees render this so far out. I think I hear combat music starting, but the AI is never path found well while on a cliff. Or maybe they're doing the exact same thing that I am. We'll take those. Anytime we can get them. That right there would be Kvatch. For those of you who haven't played Oblivion before, you do have sort of a spoiler here. Look there at the front. Those trees don't have any foliage on them like all the surrounding ones. I think we'll skip Kvatch for now. We're just going to wander around the backside of it. That town doesn't have a mage's guild. We'll eventually be seeing why. Ah, Doomstone. I've been skipping most of these, but once you start collecting fame and infamy... Ah, no stars. You're not able to get anything from those unless it's at night and you have a certain level of fame and infamy, which you can only score from completing quests. You score infamy by doing bad or evil quests such as Thieves Guild or Dark Brotherhood questlines, and fame you'd gain from doing more noble quests. They have some different implications. I think if your fame is low and your infamy is exceptionally high, hello there, then you can actually start just plain talking to bandits. They won't even attack you on sight after that point. You know, I've never made necessarily a fully illegal character. You're sort of shoehorned into doing a few noble quests, at least in this game. It would be very interesting to play an Elder Scrolls game that you could get away with by being just completely savage the entire time, without necessarily depriving you of other opportunities. If you went around indiscriminately murdering people in an Elder Scrolls games, you're cut out of some quest lines, or from some shops, or just a number of opportunities regardless. Though you can bet our first innocent kill in Skyrim will be Nazim. There we go. It's been a while since I played Skyrim. There's a specific quest you had to do to get into the Dark Brotherhood, correct? Yeah, you had to specifically murder that one person who was at the orphanage. Grelod the Kind, who does not live up to her namesake. In this game it happens just so long as you murder any random innocent person, but strangely enough in the Dark Brotherhood questline in Skyrim, they try to shoehorn you into making murders towards people that no one is going to miss. Which is a potential application of the Dark Brotherhood. You're supposed to start the Black Sacrament and pay someone to be killed. Presumably a lot of undesirable folk would be targets for that. What do we got here? There is a bound sword for us. It looks like it's giving us a two-handed weapon. The blue stones, instead, I believe, were called Raymond stones? No. Raymond was the name of one of them, and I think that might have even been the one. They're supposed to be named after a lot of old Pantheon gods. Just as the 9 would be the modern Pantheon, a lot of those stones are named after very old gods of ancient religions in the Elder Scrolls universe. Some of them might have evolved into more modern interpretations of gods as well. We might be coming up on another elite well. So you see how much damage that's doing. That's 13 damage on that sword. That is dealing twice the amount of the damage of our other sword swings. It might be slightly slower, but that's still doing a lot of damage over time. Unfortunately, those bound sword spells are going to be super expensive for us. So we will practice our conjuration later. That also gave me Curious as well. Cuirass. I don't even know how it's spelled. Chest armor. It's kind of funny though, I think that registers as a... Ah, no. It's light armor here. Strange. Crowhaven, what was that for? Ah, that was for the Grey Princess quest. We might actually handle that later. Soon after we handle the quest we have from Anvil here for our recommendations. We have both a Fighter's Guild and a Mage's Guild recommendation quest to handle here. Just doing our little speed run through the beginning of the game, and then we can start branching out more into creative solutions. I'm still keeping the sword out because the instant I put it away, it's going to vanish. That's how bound weapons work in this game. I think Skyrim so far has definitely handled it the best. Morrowind would give you an enchanted Daedric weapon that you could just shuffle randomly through your inventory. Where are we headed? Well, first it seems we'll have to deal with another highwayman.
Pay up.
You'll see how quickly this sword makes work of him.
We can play it that way if you like.
Alley-oop. That's half of his health gone. That's almost half of his health gone. And there's our 3 swings. So, until we run across a better weapon that you carry around with us, which will probably be enchanted, having bound weapons would probably be our best bet. Hello there and welcome to the stream. We are currently making our way to Anvil and we will be handling our Fighters Guild and Mages Guild quests to start with. Funny how that wolf took more of a beating than the Khajiit. I guess wolves are just durable. We found that dead bandit on the road earlier. I suppose once we get into the city gates here, we will not be engaging in combat, so I'm gonna put that away. It will be a while before we have to fight something again once we step in. Nighttime already, or has it still been the same night this entire time? No, we dealt with a sunset on the way here. I'd have to take the time to decide which architecture I like the most in Oblivion. I really like a lot of the buildings you find in Anvil.
Simply prove you are able-bodied and prepared to learn something in the process.
Certainly, Miss Asymmetrical Elf.
Unlike some frivolous tasks you may be given at other guild
I'm not sure if that's the lighting or if
this
that's
is a
actually her
serious
face.
matter and has consequences.
You'd figure it'd be much easier for them to create symmetrical faces and just create one half and then map it over the center line for symmetry, but a lot of players I'm seeing, or a lot of characters I'm seeing,
Then allow me to explain the
have
task.
remarkably
The
asymmetrical
Council of
faces.
Mages has entrusted me with resolving a situation along the Gold Road.
That's where I came from.
Several traveling merchants have been found dead along the Gold Road recently, with even more missing. The Council has asked that I put a stop to it.
Very well.
You are going to help me do so.
Sounds simple enough. Go on.
We believe the killings are the actions of a rogue mage. Battle mages have been sent to the Brina Cross Inn, the only common link between the victims.
It sounds interesting.
You are to travel north to the Brina Cross Inn and speak with Ariel Gerard. She will give you
Hello.
further
Welcome to the stream.
instructions.
We are getting the last of our Mages Guild recommendations. Then hopefully I will be admitted into college. Just a short trip up the road, but we already know we're not finding anything interesting on the way there. I do believe that's the inn we passed, but we didn't step close enough to create a fast travel marker for it. So, we'll just head right back up the road for it. A bit of an unoptimized route, but we'll make do with the best we can. Even avoiding the road on the way back up there. There's that guaranteed encounter you'll be having with the highwaymen there, but we've already solved that little issue, haven't we? Quick trip up through the grass. And that is the sound of our armor being unequipped. We're back in leather, baby. Should be a simple enough quest after this point, correct?
What is it?
Hello there. Hello, stranger. What can I do for you? Cyrodill has sent you, has she not? Go and speak with Christoph. Rent a room for the night. Once you have your room, I will meet you there.
I always appreciated the
You are a traveling merchant.
faux British accent that the Bretons have.
Do not say otherwise.
Or isn't it supposed to be closer to a sort
No,
of
friend,
French?
I'm afraid I don't know the way to
After all, the
Cyrodill
Breton
Hall.
culture would have been
But
analogous
good
to
luck
someplace in
your
France, I
travels.
believe.
Please excuse me.
They're supposed to be Western Europe.
Welcome to the Brina Cross Inn. Can I interest you in something to eat, or perhaps a bed for the night? Let me guess.
I'll take a bed.
Traveling
Thank
on
you.
business? You don't look like you're out for a stroll.
Oh, I'll just very loudly explain that I'm a merchant.
Ah, yes, thought so. We get many of them traveling through here. Well, we used to. Haven't seen as many lately. What with the, well, you know, the murders.
You
I
drop
don't like
that
to
so
talk about it
casually,
much,
don't
as
you?
It's bad for business. At any rate, would you care for a bed for the night?
Yes, he said, quite foolishly.
Right then. The bed is just upstairs at the back of the inn. Sleep well. Good day.
Pardon me. Did I hear
Well,
you say
we're
that
immediately
you're-
caught in our next conversation. Alright. Alright.
Don't you worry, what with the recent killings and all? I'd be ever so scared if it were me. I haven't left the inn in days, just in case.
Curious.
Well, you take care of yourself. I'd hate to hear about another senseless death. Good luck to you.
She has an awful lot of wrinkles.
So what's this about?
That would imply she's hundreds of years old. Elves are supposed to last much longer than humans. We did get our quest update, correct? Yes. We need to actually wait for Ariel to speak to us first before we actually fall asleep. Last time I was playing, I made the mistake of falling asleep immediately, and then talking to her.
Not bad.
The Imperial City is located on a large...
Allow me to disrupt this conversation, because I know this is definitely holding me back from getting work done.
Oh, don't let me bother you. You just stay safe on the road.
Goodbye, GTFO. She's just going to casually walk after us up here to the last room.
You've got my ear. Let's hear it.
You can find
My cat has once again adopted his usual position of trying to interfere with my mouse as much as possible. He really likes this cat and mouse game, doesn't he?
Goodbye. Oh. Welcome to the inn.
Wrong person to speak to.
Take care.
We should speak in your room where it is private.
You seem so urgent to talk, why are you not so urgent to move? We have very important business to deal with. I do not like to be kept waiting.
All right, it should be safe to speak here.
I would hope
Once
so.
you've rested here, you need to continue along the Gold Road, heading east towards Kvatch.
Simple
I
enough.
shall be following out of sight, along with a fellow battle mage. Make no attempts to speak to us. Trust that we will protect you.
I can defend myself,
Should
thank
be
you very
confronted
much.
By this cowardly mage, do not hesitate to protect yourself by whatever means possible. Once the mage has revealed himself, we will step in and settle a matter quickly. Now get yourself some sleep. You'll need to be well rested.
Don't say those words around me. I'm already excruciatingly tired. How's everyone in the chat been sleeping well? Hopefully better than I have. It's been a very stressful week for me at work. Off onto our business we go. That's the sort of build I usually do in Elder Scrolls games. I'll wear heavy armor and supplement that with lots of spell casting. They don't have that much of a set of systems against it in Skyrim, so it's something you can easily get away with.
I'm afraid your journey ends
Look familiar?
here, traveler. I'll be taking whatever you're carrying. After you're dead, of course. I do hope it's more than the last few had. They were most disappointing.
Let me put on my game face real quick. We already have made the analysis that this person is a high elf, so obviously we just need to use elemental magic. And there we go. That's how you handle a high elf. Easy enough. Especially for someone with an investment in destruction like myself. Were we far enough, the lightning bolts would have made equally quick work of her. Still, that took, what, 4 casts? I mean, she has quite the amount of health. Ah, we don't need to speak to the mages here.
What can I do for you? Goodbye.
I don't think that guy has any other important roles in this game. He just shows up for one little fight, and then he doesn't have any unique dialogue for the rest of the time. We don't need to speak with What's-Her-Face at the inn either. We can just head straight back to town. Easy. We've only been finding wolf pelts, haven't we? Yeah. Wolves apparently don't have alchemical ingredients for you to use. What a nice hop across the rocks. One of the most fun things to do in Elder Scrolls games is parkour. Ah, what a nice town. I love all the ambience. In a moment, I think we might sit down and mess with our potions again so that we can start getting all that stuff that we're needing. Get ourselves a good level up while we're at it.
So, what of the rogue mage? Has he been found?
She, rather.
A she, you say? And she's dead. Well, Ariel and Roliand did what needed to be done. No more innocent deaths.
My cat now
At least
cradles
for
his
now.
head on my keyboard.
You
This
have
will be
done
very disruptive to my
well enough
gameplay.
for yourself. I'll pass along my recommendation to Raminus.
She's somewhat more
I must
polite than
say,
some of the
I
other
doubt it
guildmasters
will
we'd
do
had to deal
much
with.
good in the end. You'd be
Come here.
surprised how easily they forget about the little people.
Oh dear. My cat is being exceptionally difficult. I hope that was not too disruptive to the microphone. My sincerest of apologies.
Goodbye.
And there it is. There's our admission into the guild.
I'm Felin Relis.
Ah, that was what we could have stopped by Skingrad for, to figure out the deal with the Nern roots.
Good. What's the news from the other?
I greet you, Thorin, journeyman of the Mages Guild.
Also with an asymmetrical
Have a
face.
look around.
How does that
You
happen?
won't find better prices in all Tamriel.
Summon Scamp would definitely be interesting. These are always some of the most important effects to learn, so I think I will go ahead and try to learn those. We can put them on a weapon later.
You too.
Mark Gullet, Mages Guild Evoker.
Ah, these
What
people
can I
are just
interest you in?
so ugly. You sell better spells, but I can't afford any of them. This is actually the place where this guy had a little imp familiar, which I think is adorable. But this little imp has absolutely no useful functions in this game. Now, while we're here, we're going to do one more thing. This is actually where we can score a Fighters Guild quest. The only other place we can score a Fighters Guild quest. See who we can talk with upstairs.
Sarah.
I believe the leader over here was a Red Guard. There he is, sitting in his very important executive office.
Fighters Guild chapter, an advanced blunt weapons trainer.
Contract.
Contract for you? I think I've got something that suits your experience. Arvina Phyllis has some problem with rats in her house.
Rats, simple enough.
Yes, rats. I'm sure she can explain it to you better than I. She lives here in Anvil. Go and talk to her. Good luck. Go take care of the rats.
The writing for the Fighters Guild questline certainly seems to be the most lacking. On one hand, you have go into a cave and kill some goblins, and then over here we have go talk to someone who's having a rat problem. Sounds like just about every cliché fantasy adventure I've had to deal with. If these buildings were not so run down, I think I'd actually like Anvil's architecture the most. I just walked in without realizing that door icon was red, but it doesn't seem like I'm actually in trouble for anything.
Oh, my poor little rats.
That's certainly a different start.
You must be from the Fighters Guild. Good, I have a problem. It has to do with the rats in my basement.
Do tell me.
That's right. Rats in my basement, and something has been killing them. It's horrible. My poor babies. You must do something.
The voice acting, I think, is actually a lot better
What do I
than
do without them?
most of what we'd expect from Bethesda.
Noses, they're
There's probably not enough story for them to have good inflections here, but
Get to the basement
I do appreciate the delivery. Especially when they're trying to be so dramatic over such trivial things.
My little rats.
What's going on down here? A mountain lion is what's going on down here. No, you get back here. I have business to pick with you. Ah, remember when I was talking about the world building in Elder Scrolls games? We have rats down here. And look at all the cheese that's been left out. It amuses me. These are alchemy ingredients, so we will be incredibly based and we will rob all of them to use for scientific experiments. Rats can't promote crimes. Report crimes, that's the word I'm looking for. You could say those rats aren't ratting me out. But
What have you found? Did you take care of my baby?
I'm hilarious.
What was going on down there?
It was a mountain lion.
In my basement? But how? That's not possible. But it happened. What if there are more? What if it wasn't alone? Where there's one, there will be more. Find Pinarus and Ventius. He's a hunter and knows this area inside and out. He'll know what to do.
Pinarius and Ventius.
Go find Pinarus and those mountain lions.
Pinaris, not Pinarius. I do appreciate the Imperial naming schemes. I wonder if they're all based off of real names or just sort of specific rhyming scheme. They're supposed to sound like, I believe, Roman names. After all, they are Imperials.
What can I do for you? Pinarus and Ventius, hunter, woodsman, and marksman.
I wish I had Inventius for a name. Tell me about these mountain lions.
Here. Odd. If they're around, I can find them. Come with me. A hunt will do us good, and maybe make that old nut feel better.
I appreciate a good hunt.
Let's go hunting.
I agree. Racy there.
Hello.
Well, he's being an awfully poor sport. Is that supposed to be a balcony up there? You see a lot of those on the architecture and anvil buildings, but it looks like those are adjacent to windows. I never understood the case of architecture like that, where you'd have a space which has reinforcements propped up against windows. See, like there. That doesn't look like that's supposed to be any sort of a balcony at all, and yet they still have that little post up there. I don't think there's any inherently aesthetic qualities to having guard railings up there without anything to guard. Speaking of gourds... Oh. That's too heavy for us. After all, that is a pumpkin. So, I'm going to show you a little trick. Most food items in the game will have Restore Fatigue as their first effect, like this potato, or this pumpkin here. We're going to find some very lightweight items, say this blackberry, and say these aloe vera leaves. No, let's go for grapes. Grapes should be lighter. We're going to create a Restore Fatigue potion out of those. Now that we've created a potion that has a specific effect and weight, we've created two of the same potion, even though we've had two different effects. If you start off with lighter ingredients, you'll create a potion with a specific name, and then you can use heavier ingredients, which will actually give you a lighter potion. It does not average out the weight of the potion effects every time. Rather, it checks to see if it can just place another potion in your inventory with the same effect and name. You can actually start with a pumpkin and an equally heavy fruit, and start giving yourself dramatically heavier potions, even out of ingredients who are lighter than the sum that would be required to make such a heavy potion. See, that seems like a functional balcony on that house over there. What the game does is it checks for the average weight of ingredients that you make, for the potion that you make, and it will combine them together. But if there's already a potion with the same name and effect as the one you're about to create, then It just adds that onto the stack of existing potions. And it won't create a new weight for the new potion. With some clever play, you can use that to give yourself some very expensive potions with very rare ingredients or even very common ingredients, and then start creating potions out of heavier ingredients that will be lighter potions themselves. It's very confusing to describe, but there's a lot of interesting little exploits like that in this game. If we're hunting mountain lions, I think I might want to make myself a good poison or two. If we have anything that could apply. But we might not. I believe Nightshade. Yeah, Nightshade gives us guaranteed damage health. Let's create a few of those. There we go. Use the weaker one first so that we can save the stronger ones for much bigger and much more important foes. Ah, he walks so slowly. I will take my time to harvest every single ingredient I can get my arms on.
If there
Oh,
are,
never mind, we're already here.
they'll be in this area. I can't imagine there are more than 4 of them. Let's take care of this.
An excellent plan. We will do something we haven't done in a while. Summon reinforcements. You'd think a fight with mountain lions would be much more deadly than this, but mountain lions aren't particularly strong in this game. These also might be level-scaled earlier versions. Ooh, yikes. I will take the bone meal, though, despite the unpleasant sight.
I think that'll be all of them. Can't imagine more in this area. You can go tell Arvena this is all taken care of. Good hunting.
And good hunting to you, too, friend. I appreciate the assistance in my quest. Adventure awaits. Oh, what was that? What's that gentleman's name? He has that very distinct... Joel Haver, that's his name. I've watched a lot of his work lately. Been very enjoyable. And there's that set of videos about his adventuring quests. Sort of parodying the typical RPGs genre.
You've got to take care of those mountain lions.
Already done, ma'am. Thank you. I'll accept my payment.
You've gotten rid of them all? You do? Well, you haven't. There's one in my basement right now. Go get it.
So we're not done yet. That marks, what, 6 of them we have to get rid of? Well, at least it seems some of the rats are alive. What a remarkably easy battle. Yeah, the rats are still alive. Little hole here at the back. Shouldn't you have patched that up by this time? Alright, talk to me. Now we should be done.
Like the gods, you killed that thing. This is ridiculous. Someone's out to get me, to get my poor babies. I'll bet it's that quill weave next door.
Tell me.
She's the one. She's never liked me or my sweet little pets. I know it's her. I've even seen her sneaking around in back of my house at night. She thinks she's
An
so
interesting case.
smart. She and all the other women. I'll show her. I want you to keep an eye on her. Find out what she's up to.
Rats actually make very wonderful and docile pets. I don't know why anyone would have such hate towards them. If you ever talk to someone who's had rats for pets, they talk about how wonderful and pleasant animals they are. After all, they're just close to mice, aren't they? And I know mice are kept as decent pets. So long as a rat lives a healthy life free of pestilence, it shouldn't be a problem.
Quillweave. I've had some success selling stories about the lives of the lower and criminal classes.
Argonian names are interesting. Are they supposed to be completely unpronounceable?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not sure what you're accusing me of, but don't do it without any proof.
That topic is grayed out, so this is not something we can sweet talk her out of. Instead, we just need to see when she does something. If she's the culprit. You should probably wait around late at night around here. Because this is the house where creatures are getting in. We probably could have started this first and then gone on the Mages Guild quest. That would have given us some time to waste, but I'm not against just waiting a little bit. We can just work with the assumption that I participated in various festivals and other incidents to do around the city. You'll see we have a green quest marker on our compass. Green signifies that we don't have to go through any extra loading cells to get to what we're supposed to be doing. And you'll see now that it has begun to move, so she should be outside since it is green. We've been detected by the guards over there, but no matter. Ah, there we go. She's on the move. If only I had such a sixth sense like that. Being able to tell who I needed to talk to and where they were. There we go. I'll take those real quick. And I have to get rid of more of my weight once again. It never ends. So now that we're over encumbered by this venison, we're going to see if we can create some decent restore health potions with other ingredients. Use mental leaves, cannonballette, remove those, create those potions, then use the venison. Since we use the venison second, it will copy the weight of the lighter first potion.
What can I do for you? You what? Well, I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. I would never go skulking about. Fine, you've got me. I figured if I left some rotten meat outside, the nasty little things would come out, and the guards would take care of them.
Argonians have some of the least involved voice acting in this game.
Good day. Yes.
Apparently we're not done yet.
In her basement?
We need to discuss our mountain mines.
Outside. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, except the rats. Please, don't tell her. And if you can keep this our little secret, I can make it worth your while. There's a bit about acrobatics I can teach you. Give it some thought. Farewell.
What would you say? Should she know the truth about the rats? We might have some interesting things to learn about acrobatics. But I would hate to inconvenience someone who keeps such wonderful pets.
Oh, so did you follow her?
I've never seen the other option to this, so we'll say she has nothing to do with it.
She didn't, huh? But you've taken care of the problem, and I suppose that's what counts. Thanks for that. Here's your payment.
She seems extremely disappointed.
Oh, my rats are so cute.
Yes, they are. You've heard of the crazy cat lady, now meet the crazy rat lady. That should give us an opportunity for advancement, right?
Evening.
Talk to me, Azan.
I'm sorry.
No? Looks like he's not going to offer me any other contracts right now. Phooey. I think it's a bit too early for us to use our level up, so we'll just take this opportunity to save our game instead. Not going to do a full level up just yet. And there we go. I hope you have all had a wonderful evening here with Oblivion. Very nice, gentle, and laid back. I'm looking forward to playing more of this game in the future, but tomorrow is Friday, and given that it's the start of a weekend, I'm more anticipating more high-energy games, so expect to see more Guilty Gear Strive. In the following weeks, I'm going to be branching out to new games, maybe 1 or 2 a week, so I look forward to it, and I hope you do too. Please let me know in the comments, or message me directly to let me know if there's any other games you'd specifically like to see from me. Otherwise, you'll have to deal with my favorite games all the time. Which I hope are as entertaining to you as they are to me. So, until tomorrow, good night. And class dismissed.